All right, good morning, guys. And if y'all will turn those cameras on and so that Seth and Kimber can see your morning faces.
Good morning, good morning.
So our first guest speakers are my absolute favorite guest speakers, although I'm going to go ahead and just give you a disclaimer, but you're going to hear me say that several times this quarter. But I'm perfectly honest when I say Seth and Kimber are my absolute, I love them to death. They are amazing.
And you're our favorite teach.
So I met Seth and Kimber going on about 6 years ago. And I probably would have never met them, if this horrible, absolutely life-changing thing had not happened to them, because they wouldn't have come into my radar. Who knows? Maybe not. I don't know. But they have changed so much in my life because they are such special people. And I told you guys yesterday that I wanted you to go and watch Seth's story on ESPN. If you haven't, when we get finished, go over to the guest speaker tab on Moodle and watch this session, watch the little video or the short clip that was done on Seth several years ago on ESPN. But I'll just kind of give you a little disclaimer. So remind me what year, Kimber, or actually I'm going to let Kimber tell y'all about theirs, and Kimber and Seth tell y'all a little about their story. So,
and I asked, by the way, I asked Elisa last night, I was like, wait, what topic are we supposed to speak on? She hadn't responded.
So this is my careers class.
Awesome. I love it. Okay. Cool. So September 28th, the day before my birthday, anyway, that's when 2011. Yeah, it's on. Look, guys, if y'all ever see tattoos walking down the street, SpongeBob arms, that's Seth. But 2011, our beautiful, normal, ordinary life was forever altered. That's the date of Seth's accident. He was training. I'm not going to tell the whole story because you have to go watch the video or you're going to get an F. Anyway, so what happened is from that accident, we were thrown into a whole different world. I say it often when I'm describing the feeling. It was like being tossed in the middle of the ocean, like Christopher Columbus. We didn't know where the end of the world was. We were just, in this uncharted territory for us. And the purpose for even us doing this class in the Brain Injury Foundation and even getting involved in Special Olympics was kind of like the aftermath or the ripple effect of purpose. Seth was in college to be a nurse. He graduated at 15. That's not in the video, so y'all get some extra because y'all on here. He was in college to be a nurse at 17 years old, was about to start clinicals literally the next week. And he was a triathlete. He was training. He was a full-time youth pastor. He was real smart and he knew it. And he was beautiful. He was a beautiful person. He was like, y'all, this is funny. Just a side note. He literally weighed half. I ain't lying, baby. Half what he was. He was only 170 pounds. He's like 340 now. So anyway, so y'all have to see, but what threw us in, and thank you so much, Miss Deal, for allowing us to share Seth's story. We always love it. Every time we do that, we get to put his story of hope and inspiration in front of someone else who may think they have come to the end of their journey because their boyfriend or girlfriend cheated on them with their best friend or broke up. And you're feeling like, well, I can't live past this. Yeah, you can, girl. Yeah, you can, guy. You have an awesome future ahead of you. Yeah. Seth had his future mapped out. He was going to do travel nursing. And what happens when you have something that hits you like that and it throws the trajectory, because you can have all your life mapped out and think you got it all planned out and everything's going to go exactly like this because you planned it, right? You did everything right. That was Seth. I just described Seth. Everything was planned out. He wasn't in the club getting tipsy when he got ran over. he was training for the Ironman. That's what he was doing. And he was on a 60-mile ride when he got hit. He died at the scene twice. He was paralyzed. We went from, he's supposed to be perpetually vegetative, guys. They told us to institutionalize him. He would require 24/7 care for the rest of his life. He's the cutest little bearded.
You would drive those nurses insane if you were institutionalized.
Right? Yeah, he used to be right hand, left hand. He did lie before the accident and tell all the girls he was ambidextrous. A lie. But now he is. I don't know why he thought that would impress anybody. It would have never worked on me to go on a date with nobody. I wouldn't have it like, yay, woo woo. Woo woo for you, boo boo. Yeah, anyway. So Seth wound up from the accident. We were in the hospital 5 months, guys, 5 months. He was paralyzed on the right side. He was had severe traumatic brain injury and ranked as low as you could go on the Ranchos Amigos scale, which is the injury scale where they can determine what is the severity of brain injury, to what degree. Seth ranked low as you could go. He would be like this table we're sitting on. They said he'd never have memories, anything, humor, and he wouldn't understand humor. He wouldn't know who he was, who we were, literally nothing. Breathing oxygen, but nothing. We went from there 5 months, guys, 5 months, almost half a year. We were in the hospital in New Orleans, driving back and forth every week from Ruston. And we never left him. We stayed in the hospital with him like all the time. So because of that, we were thrown on the front line of a new experience with medical professionals, therapists, things like that. And so it was a world, none of my kids had ever been sick. Nobody I knew had a disability, even in my family. So here we are in this uncharted territory. And I'm trying to figure out, what do I do to survive this? How do I fight to get my son's life back? Maybe not the life that he had. Guys, pay attention to that. Maybe not the life that you wanted or he wanted. Maybe you're experiencing something now. Maybe you failed a class and now you're starting to rethink your major. That's okay. That's okay. When you can learn to, y'all know what surfing is, right? You get on the board. I've never done it. I would break a hip. But anyway, surfing, you gotta learn to flow. You gotta learn to ride the wave. Life throws waves at you. And when you're in a certain, like whatever your occupation is, whatever your major is that you're working towards, it may be that you're rethinking, or you were going to nursing. Now you're thinking of going into PT or OT or whatever. For Seth to be thrown in that situation and to be, here we are, we didn't know what to do, but I did know this. I don't have to be very highly educated to understand if somebody is compassionate or they're just getting their paycheck. We had a lot of nurses, a lot of medical professionals that were crossing our path, constantly. We're going on 9.5 years now. And so we were constantly, and even to this day, encountering different professionals that didn't know Seth. There were only a handful that I will say I had to tell them to get out of here. And that's not your computer, that's Seth's therapy dog. So excuse us. It's raining. She can't go play. She's hyper. So the thing that I will like to encourage you in, whatever you're going into, let that be the calling and the passion and the purpose of your life. Not just whether it's a doctor, whether it's, you make 6 figures or you make 4 figures. Make sure that whatever you choose, that it's something that you're going to make a difference, number one, because then it's a purpose. It's not punching a clock and getting your paycheck. It's a purpose behind it. And that is one of the things I found. The attitude of anybody, and guys, I mean anybody that we had to encounter, Seth's life had become complicated enough for him to just fight and get out of the bed, do just normal things. Guys, he had to relearn to do everything, brush his teeth, use a microwave. He found out you can catch a microwave on fire if you put ramen noodles in there with no water and leave the foil packet in there. So don't let a brain injury person try to use the microwave without you supervising until they figure it out. So it will catch your microwave on fire and it stinks like ho. Anyway, so yeah, ramen noodles are a really good fire start. So anyway, the people that were placed on our path, the ones that made the difference, you know, because here we are looking at the impossibilities, and dear God, there was a list long as from here to Calhoun. I mean, it was like every day they added not one, but multiple things saying he's never going to do this. He's never going to do that. Oh, he can't do this. No, he won't do that. And we're like, watch. And we just kept being positive. Attitude changes atmosphere. I'm going to say it again. Attitude changes atmosphere. Because if you got up this morning and you got this test, or you're meeting me and Seth for the first time, hey, by the way, the thing is, you can choose the trajectory of whatever you're wanting to go into. But if you get that degree and you go into that job and you find out that it was not everything you expected it to be, and you become disillusioned, it's because you're not loving what you do. Please choose something you have a passion to do. And for me, the way I came through this is turning the pain that I was experiencing into a positive. And how do you do that? Well, you help somebody out of your pain. You help somebody else come through their own pain. Then it's not wasted. Then what you're going through is still an education. It's not pain poured out on the ground. It's something that becomes a tool, because there's no failures in life, right? Unless it gets you one step closer to success. It's not really a failure. Failure is not even trying. So for us, there was no quit in Seth Hanchy. And so he got that from some people. I guess I'm going to say it was my DNA. Is that good? We good.
Sure.
Oh, yeah. I ain't giving his daddy no credit because he not here no more. So anyway, Seth became more and more. He would get a little better, then he'd have huge setbacks. Then we'd have to go see a different specialist. Then we'd have to go here, there, yonder. The doctors would come in that room in those 5-month period interims that we were in the hospital, and they would give us, you know, all of this dire diagnosis. And of course, I know that, and I know what the medical journal said, and I respected that. You know, they knew what the medical part of that is and what that said. But there's a period in your life where you have to find a way to move past that margin and space and move off the page. And we did that with our faith. We wouldn't have been able to do it without it. But for us, I will tell you, the doctors would walk out of the room. I would be in total, utter despair, because when you're thrown into that, please know, if you're in any kind of medical field or therapy field or any field you work with, you know, people that are experiencing trauma in their life, the main thing you can remember, especially people and mamas with disability, and this is the God's honest truth, learning with Special Olympics, and then from my experience with Seth, when you're thrown into a world where there's disability, these kids are bullied. The mamas have that stress on them, and then also trying to fight for every little tiny thing, everything. And you guys, you gals that are in the medical field or therapy or whatever, not even just that, even people that we had to deal with, like in the insurance world or billing or anything, to explain, it was always the kindness. You can say something and be kind about it. So when you choose to go into a field, we had these nurses come in, and guys, I'm even talking about the people that would even clean the room would walk in, and it made the difference when we're hearing all this terrible stuff, because wouldn't repeat it in front of Seth. We wouldn't allow anybody to cry. That included us in front of Seth. That didn't mean we didn't feel like it. We just wouldn't do it. We remained positive, which is really difficult, because you're really fronting it. You know, nothing in front of you looks positive, but you're remaining positive. Those nurses would come in and they would say, look, I know what the doctor said, but let me tell you what I've seen. Guys, I didn't need another medical history. No, I didn't need any more information. I just needed hope. And if you can remember that, I don't care if you're an attorney, I don't care what you do in your life or with your life. If you can remember every person that crosses your path, they are experiencing something that sometimes you don't even have a clue the hell they're dealing with or live through. And when you can say just a word in a tone that is kind and compassionate, it doesn't matter what you do. If you just portray that you care, that makes the difference. And say something just encouraging, say something positive. Hey guys, here's a freebie. Just smile. Just literally just smile. Please don't walk around like you hate what you do. And that doesn't mean you're not having a bad day. But believe me, we have a bad day. But I promise you this, if you ever see Seth out in public and me, if you ever see me out in public and him walking by himself, please feel free to come up and talk to him. He's like the biggest teddy bear.
What's up?
Hey, anyway,
What's up?
So I'm gonna go on that one. So
yes.
I always mention this. I mean, I can't even count how many times it is that y'all have come and spoken to my classes before, and it's just a wonderful thing that we have you guys as a resource right here in town. Even though now we're on Zoom, so we're like all.
I know it's crazy.
But when I first met Seth, Seth was powerlifting. So like Kimber kind of said, like you had to be positive. They had to find a goal. They had to have something for Seth to strive for. We have to have goals. We're going to talk about goal setting as we go through the quarter. And those goals were really, I think, the thing that really helped Seth just move forward. That positiveness and humor were really like, you got to hold on to whatever you can. And when I first met Seth, and this is the thing that's so amazing, and I'm gonna let Kimber kind of explain to y'all a little bit about Seth's injury in just a second. But when I first met Seth, I remember going up to him, not really knowing. I had been told, Miss Boyd knew them very well. And so she had told me, oh my gosh, you're going to love them. Go make sure that you go meet them. And we were helping, my class was helping. They were doing a Special Olympics powerlifting meet at the Lambright. And I had assigned my students to go and help work with this powerlifting meet. And so it was on a weekend. So I got done with soccer with my kids. And then I went over to the last little bit of the meet. And I got to meet Seth. And I didn't really know what to expect. And I came up to him, I introduced myself to him, and I remember asking him, just how old are you? And it was really interesting because he couldn't put, I think you were 20, 19 or 20 at the time, and he couldn't put the words 20 together. And it took him a little while to get the words two and 0 out of his mouth. And those compound words, because of Seth's injury to his brain, compound words just weren't going to work. And this is one of those things. So we've always been told when your brain is injured, it's never going to recover. It's never going to get better.
Right.
And I am like, I see Kimber and Seth, now I don't see them as much because we're not doing the Special Olympics this year. But I, the times that I do get to see them, I have seen Seth get better. I mean, I have seen, it was interesting because there's little things that I notice about him. When if he starts to talk, all of a sudden I'm like, wait a minute, he couldn't say that word 2 years ago, and now he can. And so communication is one of those things. And it never even crossed my mind up until the last time that we had this, that reading was something that was really difficult for Seth. So Kimber, will you kind of explain his injury and kind of the ins and outs of what exactly Seth goes through on a day-to-day basis?
Oh yeah, absolutely. So one of the deficits that came with his brain injury, and there was a multiple list of them, but one of the most frustrating things Seth has had to deal with is the communication issue, because his side of his head, that was the brain that was damaged, because there were several different parts of the brain damage. Seth is missing, by the way, if y'all don't know, about 2/3. I'm sorry, 2/3. He's got a peanut up there. No, sorry, babe. I'm sorry. Get my facts straight. Anyway, he's missing about 1/3 to 1/4 of his brain. And Lacey is correct.
And it's his left hemisphere, correct? Or right hemisphere?
Yes. And as you guys know, the left side of the brain controls right side and vice versa. So Seth's damage was this side. He used to be right side dominant. What I was saying a while ago, he is now ambidextrous for real. He can do both left and right, but he was paralyzed on the right side. So he had to relearn even how to walk and stuff like that. But as far as his deficit with communication, his whole language center on the left hemisphere was totally, completely wiped out, like gone, baby, gone. It's replaced with cerebral fluid, water. When the brain is damaged, it literally dies and it does not come back. As Ms. Dill pointed out, that area is filled with water. The interesting thing is, with Seth, he has apraxia, broca apraxia, which is like fluid. I think it's called also fluid aphasia. I don't have it in front of me, but it's where he cannot get the words out. So, and he also had shearing. Every pathway to get anything out from the motherboard of his brain, the computer language center, get it out, completely severed, cut. So the brain is regrowing. This is so cool. On the opposite side, he's got his language center growing again. He's got pathways that are growing. So even now, to hear him talk is different, but everything was affected. This is a kid who graduated at 15, who now did not know the difference between a squirrel and a tree. Yeah, squirrel. So anyway, I know. So for Seth, the communication thing, it affected like texting, reading, writing, speaking, of course, the language part. For Seth, the difference is that he kept trying. He kept, like, he never stopped. He has the broca aphasia, which affects like all of that. Okay. But here's the thing. Here's the frustrating thing. And a lot of people that have stroke or whatever, they experience this. And that is when, so they know what they want to think. Cognitively, they're there. Okay. Cognitively, Seth is there. He's still got, which is really strange, but he's got his higher learning. He did have to relearn all of his basic from 8 years old and under, which is like, colors and numbers, like Ms. Still said. He would say 21. Now he can say, 2-1. Now he can say 21. So that's a complex thing because it does affect everything, but they're cognitively there. And I see it this way. Seth was a public speaker before any of that happened. And he wound up, it's like being locked in a glass box. They know what they want to say. They cannot get it out. Can you imagine? So people assume he's not all there. That's the other thing, if I can throw this in. If you ever come across someone with a disability, please ask them what their story is. Get down on their level. If they're in a wheelchair, look them, you don't have to get real close, stay in that zone, but just look at them and acknowledge them. A lot of people don't even acknowledge them. They'll talk to the person with them. And that's insulting to them because they're a human. Maybe they appear to be not all there. Maybe they have apraxia like Seth and they can't get their words out, but they're not stupid. They're not born with this. This is something he acquired. The other thing that he deals with is the aphasia, broca aphasia. I think I got that mixed up. Apraxia, broca aphasia. Yeah, apraxia. I'm sorry, I did. So apraxia is where you know what you want to say, but all of the muscle movements, which it takes about 100 muscle movements to get a single sound out. So imagine a word or sentence. that was completely destroyed as well. And so the deficit with that is he cannot execute. So he can't sometimes even execute all of the fine motor skill movements to just formulate that word. So that's the two major things that he dealt with. He could only say 5 months later, coming home in a wheelchair and diapers, ya, ma, and na, and do yes, no sign language. That's it, people. That's all. And so we had to communicate by asking questions of yes, no. If you're ever a speech pathologist, I will, or a nurse, and you have to deal with somebody that has to use a yes, no board, it was way more convenient to teach them the sign language of yes, no. I would encourage you to do that because it was very helpful, even coming home.
Yeah, I know for some of y'all will go on and you'll work with individuals with disabilities, whether you're in a clinical setting or whether you're in a school setting. I mean, for me, working with individuals with disabilities was not something that I necessarily wanted to do. It was just something that kept coming up in my life. And I didn't want to be that for whatever reason. I guess I just didn't want to be that person because it's not easy and it's hard and it takes way more patience than I thought that I had at the time. And this is even before I had kids. And it just kept coming at me, these different people, asking to learn to swim, people that were being turned away. I had so many kids that I taught how to swim that their parents, money was not an option. They just wanted their kids to be able to swim, and they were being told no from more than one place. No, no, no. Just became something that they became used to because of their behavior, because of something that they had done, or because they just didn't have anybody in the location that was able to. And I wasn't necessarily trained in special education. I just had patience, and I just let him go, and I remember I worked with a guy who had Angelman syndrome. So if you've never been around or known anyone with Angelman syndrome, he basically had a genetic disorder that was neurological, and he basically stopped developing at about a year of age, but his body continued to grow. He couldn't talk, he had major muscle atrophy issues. And when I first started working in Austin, I swam with him 3 times a week for 7 years. And he would come into the pool, and it was just amazing to watch what it did to him, how it helped him, how it changed his mood, how it allowed his body to move. And he had been told no so many times from places. Now, granted, did he try to drink the pool water? Yes. Did it make him throw up? Yes. Did we have to fight him to get him to stop doing it? Yes. Did he drop his pants on the pool deck on more than one occasion in front of about 60 campers? Yes. So there were a lot of things, but we made a difference in his life, and that was very important that we were doing that. And that was, we had a lot of parents that would get frustrated, understandably, when a 20-something-year-old man drops his pants on the pool deck. But we made accommodations and we figured out how to make it work. But because it was important, it's important, and what we do is important. And I always love to start with Kimber and Seth, because most of you will be in some form of a healthcare setting, whether it is at a PT, whether it's a PA, whether it's an OT. Some of you will go into coaching and you will interact with someone who has a disability. Some of you, you'll go into chiropractic school, whatever it is. And at some point in time, you are going to interact with someone like Seth, whose life this was not the trajectory that he was going on. There will be some of you that will have a life-changing experience that you did not expect. You did not expect. And it's going to happen, and it's going to hit you upside the head, and you're going to change because of it. And that's okay. It's okay. Or you're going to meet someone and interact with someone that's got a similar story to Seth and Kimber. Or you're going to interact with someone who their entire lives, this has been what it's like. It's very interesting being a part of the the special needs community here in Ruston. I don't know, I haven't got to tell Kimber and them this yet, but we actually, so I'm involved with Special Olympics here in town. And then I'm also involved with Buddy Ball, which is another special needs organization where we provide free of charge baseball for kids with disabilities. We have not got to have buddy ball games in about a year and a half because of the new baseball fields and all of that. And then COVID. We had our first buddy ball game on Saturday, and it was
Oh,
absolutely
awesome.
amazing. And we had about 25 kids that came out, the little kids game, and then the older kids that got to come out. I'm going to be giving you guys an opportunity to volunteer with that group if you so want to. We need some volunteers for April the 10th. So I'm going to be getting in touch with you guys about that one, through email, so you can get in touch with me with that. But it is an amazing organization. And most of those children are very opposite of Seth. They were born with their disability. And I had never, and I asked Seth this the last time they were here, and I'm going to ask him again so that he can answer it. But one of the, in the fall, I teach the Kin 414 class, which is our adaptive class. And Anna Sasser, who is a young girl from Shudron who has Down syndrome, Anna was one of our guest speakers for that class. And one of the questions that was asked of Anna was, what is life like having Down syndrome? And Anna was really confused with that question. She couldn't answer it. And her mom was actually sort of offended by it. And she said, but I'm going to answer this question because I think it's something that needs to be addressed. She said, life for her is no different than life was for her when she was a kid. She was born with her disability. She doesn't know any different.
Yes.
She has always had Down syndrome. She doesn't know what life is like without it. And for her, it's the life that she has. And so she has to live her life to the fullest. And her mom even went on and said, just because she has a disability doesn't mean that she doesn't have a life. Anna, I mean, that girl, she goes all over the place. I asked her mom the other day, I said, well, is Anna, she's now graduated high school. And I said, is Anna going to get herself a little job? And her mom said, she's so busy, she can't. So you see this, do y'all see this little painting back here? The little like swooly kind of marbly looking one? That's an Anna Sasser original. She painted that. So she has a painting business that she does. And she's got her paintings in two businesses in town. And I mean, that's her life. But then I asked Seth that question. So Seth, I'm going to ask you again, even though I already know the answer to it. What do you even remember life before your accident?
So.
So, yeah.
Low, pass, yeah.
Little.
Yeah.
So, and here, this was the thing that's so amazing. I'm gonna kind of jump another area because this was something that I guess it was in the fall. You guys don't really know this, but in the fall, we had literally the day that Seth and Kimber came to join us, one of our former students had been in a bicycle accident. And later that day, he actually passed away from his injuries from his bike accident. And when Kimber talks about, people that are interacting with you and how you're interacting with people for a reason, it's unbelievable, because it was actually two of our students, they were supposed to be getting married like the weekend after his accident, 2 weeks after his accident, they were supposed to be getting married. And when Victoria, his girlfriend, when she got to the hospital, here's her fiance that they're supposed to be getting married. She shows up at the hospital in Shreveport. Her fiance has been airlifted. They're basically told, the worst. The two nurses that were working with him were both women who had lost their fiancés or their husband early in their lives. If God doesn't put people in your place for a reason, I mean, and so for Victoria, having these two women who had been through this experience before, she needed that. She needed that more than anything. Yes. And that conversation, so after that brought on a really amazing conversation with Seth, because I don't think there's any of us that have experienced death like Seth has. I know I haven't. Kimber, do you remember that conversation? with Seth?
Talking to me or Seffi?
Yeah.
Both of you. Do y'all remember that conversation when you were telling us? Because it's something that has like completely altered. Like, I mean,
Yeah, are you talking about what Seth saw? Is that what you're
Yes,
talking
yes,
about? Okay,
yes.
yeah. We actually, guys, those of you who do not know, let me just throw this in there and I'll share this because that's one of the number one things that we get asked about that they want to know in detail. And I'm working on Seth's book right now, and that's a whole chapter. But people want to know what his experience was when he died. And I will tell you, if you're not on TikTok, and if you are, go find Team Seth Foundation. He has blown up. Lacey, I just have to.
There's a link on our middle page on the
Crazy.
position for the Team Seth Foundation website.
5 months, 5 months, he's
man.
at 247,000 and a half followers, 3.4 million. Let me tell you how cool this is. He's got him ordering, there's a lot of videos of him ordering food and twerking, but some at the same time. But anyway, twerk it while you work it. Okay, anyway.
Okay, so next time I see you, I guess I have to get a demo of this.
Girl, go on TikTok. He was twerking last night making coffee and they were videoing him. But he's like simple stuff like that we take for granted. He's got all of these people that are going, I won't even go out of my house, but because you do, and you have a praxia and aphasia, I can't communicate. I've just stopped trying. And anytime you meet somebody who has a limitation or disability, I'm going to throw this in there, Lacey, and then I'll tell that story. When they are really trying, you guys get up and y'all might have a bad hair day, but it takes a lot of energy for someone with a disability to just get out of bed. So the least you can do with whatever field you're in, like I said, whether it's billing, social working, whatever it is, just at least show someone the respect and dignity of being kind, patient and kind. So Seth, when Seth died, and the first night he was in the hospital, he was in the ICU. They said he would, the 48 hours that they didn't expect him to even live through the night. He had already passed away twice. And I had come home the next morning because it was my birthday, and we had stayed up there. I left the hospital to come back and walk my dogs and just to change clothes and go right back to the hospital in Shreveport. And when I was here, you're thrown in a weird place when something that traumatic happens that you were not planning for or expecting to happen. And I remember just being so full of despair. And I was like, God, why are you doing this? Why did this happen? Where is my son? Bring my son back. And God showed me this amazing, beautiful vision of a field. And it was hilly. It was the most, y'all, this is before the movie The Shack. So when I seen it, I was like, oh my gosh, that's like, I get it. It's kind of like that. Just the most beautiful spring, perfect day, beautiful. And back away, sitting under this huge tree, gorgeous tree, is Seth. And Seth back then, he was a little scrawny dude, but but I knew that who was sitting by him was Christ, and they were sitting and talking, and I could not hear like specifically words they were saying. I couldn't make that out, but I could hear them talking and then watching the demeanor of Seth. And they were sitting on the ground, both of them face out, like just two buds chilling, and they were laughing. He still has a really deep laugh. I thank God that he kept that, it didn't leave, it didn't change. He has a really deep laugh. I love it. But he had a deep laugh then. Now remember, he's in ICU. He's in a coma. He's not expected to live through the night. And I'm seeing this, and so they're talking, they're just both facing forward, and they're like, talking and laughing. And then all of a sudden Christ would lean over and say something to Seth, and Seth would just stare straight ahead and intently listen. And so I shared that with my family. I shared it with some of my people in our church. I shared that story, and then I just kind of moved it away. Well, when Seth came home, several months after that, when he was able to communicate and we can understand, I say it this way, his accent, because I like to pretend he has a foreign language and he's embraced it. But so he was explaining to us that he died. And when he died, that he walked to Christ, and that Christ and him talked, and he said he's really, really funny. Like, who even thinks that, right? But he didn't know what I seen. And he said he's really funny, and we're best friends. And Seth to this day will get up in the morning and he's just, he prays in his own language that he was giving, because, you know, he has praxis aphasia. So in his mind, he knows what he's saying, but it comes out like it's some foreign language, which, yeah, which y'all, I don't know if y'all know what a polyglot is, do you? I learned this. These people are like so high intelligent and they study languages. Do y'all know what it is? They learn these languages, so they speak all these languages. They're trying to decipher and decode Seth's language. How crazy cool is that? Is that weird? Like, he has his own language, and they said he sounds like
it's his bartering. It's his Mexico bartering language.
Yes, something, I don't know. But those of you who watch Game of Thrones, he said he sounds like the guy that plays Aquaman. I can't remember his name right now. You know, he fine, but anyway.
Aquaman is not in Game of Thrones.
He was, though. The actor was.
Oh, yeah.
You know who I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Okay, anyway, I can't remember the name of that language he speaks, what, Daseki or something like that. They think that, no, or is that a beer? Girl, I don't know. Shoot, let me get on with the story. So I know I'm chasing a squirrel. I'm coming back into the track now. Anyway, so they talked, they had a conversation, and I told Seth, when Seth was describing this, and he was saying, so for those of you who have lost loved ones, let me say this. And I'm not saying suicide's cool. It's not. I feel like if you're here, you know, you're here for a reason. Somebody needs you. Somebody, their life, their destiny, their purpose, a lot of somebody's are depending on you. And so whatever you're dealing with, just keep going and you'll live through it. You'll get to the other side of this valley, because there's a mountain behind you you didn't think you'd get over. You did. You're here. There's a mountain in front of you. Just keep walking. You go get over it. Don't quit. Don't give up on life. Get up and live. Yeah. For Seth told us that he didn't want to come back. He said words could not express how happy he was, how peaceful it was, how beautiful it was. And God told him to come back. He had a great purpose yet to fulfill, and he's fulfilling it. And it's ironic now that people on here, I would have never thought 9.5 years ago, people would be saying, oh my gosh, you're the best motivational speaker. And at that time, he was a youth pastor. And there's people that have come to believe in, or have faith, find their faith, believe in God, come to God, find out that prayer really does work. And it's all because of Seth's life and his attitude. And so I would say that even whatever field you go into, attitude makes the difference in success or failure. Because if you can learn to flow with it and not get thrown off when bad things happen, because bad things happen every single dadgum day, but you got to make your mind up that it's not going to take you out. You're going to, remember, ride the surfboard, just kind of lean to the left, lean to the right, and then wipe you down, and something like that. Anyway, or Dougie, I don't know, whatever.
Well, and I think, and I'll tell you this. So that day that we were having this conversation, it was not during, we had finished our discussion forum. Everyone had left class, and we had one student that stayed behind and just wanted to talk. And we were talking about this horrible thing that had happened, because it just happened like the night before it happened.
Yes.
And Seth, Kimber and Seth shared that story with me. And it was interesting, because here we were, I was crying. I think this girl who didn't know our student, didn't really know me, didn't know Seth and Kimber, she was about to start crying. And Seth was like, why?
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah.
Like, why? Be happy, and it's completely kind of, it makes me want to tear up.
Well, Well, it's really weird, because we don't know what lays behind the veil. And so I know this is kind of off subject of what you are, but that's like the number one question, even internationally, that we're getting about Seth is like, what was it like? What was it like? What did you see? And it's just so amazing to know. It used to it used to embarrass me because we would go to funerals or somebody we'd be trying to comfort somebody and sit being like, why y'all crying? Why y'all sad? And when you're supposed to be sad or you look callous, it didn't make sense to him because he was like, we all gonna die, so why y'all crying about it? It's not bad over there, it's bad over here. And that was just, and again, I ain't condoning suicide. You don't take your life because somebody is depending on you.
Purpose.
Thank you. Purpose. Does that mean that every day is a great day? Hells no, it ain't a great day. You have things that happen that you didn't plan for, like getting hit by a blue van when you're, doing all the right things, just training for a triathlon home from college that day and go on 60-mile bicycle ride. He wasn't doing anything wrong. He wasn't drunk. He wasn't high. He was wearing all the right gear, blinking light, bright white professional jersey, and boom, smack, out of nowhere, life happens, right? So you can either get mad, throw yourself a little pity party and get your little violin out, and feel bad for yourself because, you failed or you didn't get your assignment turned in or whatever, or your daddy is not in your life and you've never heard anybody say, I'm proud of you, you did that, right? So if you allow that, whatever you blame, write this down, tweet this out, hashtag it, whatever you blame, you give your power to. But it's up to you. It's your life. Keep your power. Don't give it away to anybody. That includes a boyfriend, absent father, whatever, and getting hit by, or a brain injury, whatever it is.
So okay, so here's what I want you guys to do. If we're kind of at the point where we want to start answering some questions. So if you've got a question, will you go ahead and type that in the chat? If you have a specific question, something that you want Seth and Kimber to answer for you guys, go ahead and type that in the chat. And I would also like you, so you get attendance points for coming today. And the way that I'm going to assign those attendance points is you commenting and just telling us something that you enjoyed about today's session. Just because you're share, these are going to get shared with Kimber and Seth, and they're going to get to see them. Even if it's just an encouraging word or whatever it is, share. But that's how you're going to get those points today. So make sure that you're commenting just something that, something that struck out to you, something that was interesting you. And while y'all are doing that, I'm gonna touch on another thing that Kimber mentioned. So, and this was something that I think y'all said the last time we were talking about speech. How poetic is it that a youth pastor who is going to be, using their gift of speech to change people's lives gets that taken away, and so it ends up becoming something completely different. And then I want to go into that, but I want Kimber mentioned the being hit by the car out of nowhere. Will you just kind of tell the story of meeting her really quickly?
Yeah, and by the way, thank you, Lacey. By the way, guys, if y'all want to see any of the videos, the video of him meeting the lady that hit him, we did not hear from them for 5 years, and I don't remember if it was 6 or 9 months, but it was in 2018. And the amazing part of that story is Seth had been wanting to meet her, and I was like, no, I don't want to see, I didn't know what I would say or do because I dealt with so much anger over that for years. And then I finally released it. I finally got past it because anger will gnaw at you from the inside out and it poisons everything around you and you miss the beautiful things in your life. So one of the things that I did is I crossed over and forgave her. Well, that wasn't enough because that's the day I was working on some of Seth's book back then. And I felt like God spoke to me and said to reach out to her and for Seth to go see her and give her peace. And I was like, Kevin Hart, no, I don't want to do it. No. And But I was obedient. I did, send them a message on Facebook because I didn't have their contact. I didn't have anything. So I just sent a message. I was like, okay, I did what I was supposed to do. And so Seth actually, I called him and told him, what God had spoken. He's like, yes, yes, yes. Well, when I got home, he had written down these words, and I'm not telling you what they are. You've got to go watch the little tiny 2-minute video and see it. But those words that come up are words he had in his phone that he showed me when we were coming back. And he said God had given them to him. Well, we're going there to give her peace. How ironic is that, right? How ironic. We walk in and I couldn't even get out of the car, I was having a panic attack. And Seth took my hand, and he does this mess all the time. Sometimes it makes me mad because I want to ruminate in my anger and feeling sorry for myself. And Seth took my hand and he's like, Mom, breathe. And he always does this breathe. All God, trust God. Held my hand. And he's like, okay. So we got out, we go in, and this lady, y'all, I'm thinking, sweet justice. Ha ha ha. She is now in exactly the same situation Seth was in, except she can speak, but she's in the latter stages of Alzheimer's. So she's in a recliner. She cannot get up. They have to use, the lift and lift her, in diapers, can't feed herself. Seth walks up and they say, this is the young man you ran over. And for the first time, oh, by the way, and I walked in, and instead of going, aha, justice is served. No, I didn't do that. Because of what I went through, I would have thought I would have done that. I didn't. I actually looked at her and at her son and daughter-in-law, and I wept because I know what it's like to be under the pressure of a caregiver. So I actually had like this, I oozed compassion with my eyeballs because I started crying, not snotty crying, but just crying. And so I started sharing what happened. And Seth at the end of that, and I said, this is the worst thing that ever happened to us. I told some of the things that we dealt with. But then I said, but because of this, it became the most beautiful thing that happened to us because I'm involved with Special Olympics. I would have never been. I'm an advocate for people with disability. Would have never done that. I have walked into a new world as a voice for people that have none because of what happened to Seth. And so I wanted her to know, I said, God sent us here to give you peace. And Seth was holding her hand, guys, the whole time. They brought a chair for him to just sit by her. He held her hand the whole time because the first thing she said when she found out, she looked at him and said, oh, I'm so, so sorry. And I just started weeping. And here's this big dude over there holding her hand. He's the one that can't even speak now. His life completely destroyed. And he's holding her hand and comforting her, saying, it's fine. Look at me. I'm strong. Oh, God, look at me. I'm strong. It's fine. Well, at the end of that, Seth wanted to pray for her, which he does for everybody. If y'all ever need a hug or prayer, right there. He might say he wants some money for it, but
Money.
he will bill you, and he does take Venmo. So anyway,
Okay.
He has done that before, by the way. I had a student in my office one day that was, bawling, crying about the fact that she had to take another math class. And we were in the middle of getting ready for Special Olympics, and just so happened that we were doing some stuff. And I just texted Kimber and I said, can Seth come give her a hug? And he came and he gave her the biggest hug that girl has ever gotten. And she got so much better. And she got to that math class that she had to take because she kept changing her major and had to take different maths for every major.
Well, if y'all ever need a hug, Seth will give you a hug, and
big, strong bear hug.
Yes, there's people that we could charge for that.
Yeah.
Nothing else, but we could.
Anyway, when we're able to hug again, we need to put Seth on the corner of Railroad Park with a sign that just says "Big
Girl.
Hugs."
Yes,
Money.
Oh,
more money,
little money, dollar bill. Okay, anyway.
Yeah.
Unless he's twerking, then you can make it rain. Okay. Anyway, so yeah, no, he's got his new occupation, y'all. He's gonna be a professional twerker. So anyway, and that's
New.
scary to see that
Unfortunately,
dump truck doing that is scary. I'm just telling you. But Seth actually, what was I saying? I'm so sorry, I forgot.
We were talking about meeting the, well, how old?
Yeah,
Because
he prayed for her, then kissed her on the head. The video is on there, and it's called Forgiveness.
yeah. So go.
Yeah.
So, okay. So, do any of y'all, I haven't kind of looked, do any of y'all have questions specifically that you would, we haven't even touched on the tattoos yet. Seth always loves to show off his tattoos. I told him the other day in class, I said, get ready. Seth's going to have on his tank top so you can show off his tattoos.
He loves to show his nipples off. That's what's disgusting to
when he
me.
comes to class in person, I make him wear a shirt and he wants to
But he takes it off every time. He's nipple proud. It makes me sick.
But
anyway.
so another thing that's on their website is the story of Seth's tattoos. And we don't have a whole ton of time, but I'm going to get you to tell one more story about Seth's the Grim Reaper.
Okay.
Just really quickly tell that one.
Take your shirt off, baby. You can go ahead, strip. Oh, okay. So this is Seth. Look that way so they can see. This is Seth, and he's grown his hair back. Can y'all see? He got a little Viking fro going up on there. See?
Okay, so they don't know. So Seth used to have hair, lots of hair, and he would dye it all kind of crazy colors.
Oh, yes, and his
hair you miss out of you.
So this is Seth choking it Grim Reaper out, guys, by the way. Okay. Yeah.
So Seth wanted to shave his head. And Kimber said no, because he was already scary enough as a 300 covered tattoo guy. And he likes to wear combat boots and lots of jewelry and neck chains and, black is his color. And Kimber said, no, you can't shave your head. But what did Seth do?
Shaved his head. He looked like he had mange. I heard him in the bathroom and he was going, he wanted me to shave it. And I was like, I'm not shaving your head. And it was his birthday. I hear him in his bathroom shaving and I hear him go, oh crap. And I was like, oh my God, what did he do? I go look, literally he looked like he had mange. There were so many gaps. It was disgusting. I'm glad he did it though, because when he shaved, right here, there was a wound. The 3 places, there was a wound that had opened up. This is the side they removed the skull piece. By the way, that is his skull piece. They put back not a plate or anything like that.
Yeah, they took his skull and cryogenically froze it after the accident until they replaced it like
4 months later, put it back. So he was leaking brain fluid. So they had to do, I'm fast forwarding a lot. He had to do a skin graft. Now, the crazy thing is, it was one thing to get hit by the lady while he's riding. And then, you're in nursing school, everything great's happened. He had just competed and represented the whole state of Louisiana for powerlifting at the USA Games for Special Olympics and Paralympics. Thank you, Lacey. Was so excited to get Seth on their team for the USA team for shot put and discus. He had never done that before. He started training, and within just a few months, he was already at the level. There's an A team, B team, C team. His numbers were at C team, and he'd never done it before. He just started training. They were getting him, so he got qualified regional, was going international and national the next month, international and national within a week away from each other. And when he started leaking the brain fluid, and he was also going the month after that as well. So this is 3 things that were major milestones about to happen. And he was going to go break the record for the world record for powerlifting for Special Olympics. We were going to Florida to do that. So they said, no, halt everything. He can't even pick up anything heavier than a milk jug. So we had to stop everything again, everything on hold. They did a deep tissue. Let me show them. Deep tissue skin graft.
Around. Nobody can see that.
Here.
The top.
Right there. You see, and guys, there's like pictures on his Facebook. If y'all go look at Team Seth Foundation, and go back like 2 years, you'll see this. It was disgusting. Seth would tell everybody he got bit by a zombie. It was that disgusting. So they took his main artery that's like right there, that main artery that's there. They took it. And so now he has, this is funny, because all of Seth's stories, it can't just be, normal. But they took the Grim Reaper. His tattoos are his testimony of God raising him from the dead. On this side, Jesus is standing on the grave. There's the tombstone with the date and Seth's initials. And he's standing on the back of Grim Reaper, holding a spear up, fixing to spear him in the head. And he's holding Seth, got Seth in the other arm.
Yeah.
He's about to spear Grim Reaper in the head. Guess where Grim Reaper's head is now? Right there, baby. Bam.
Boom.
And we did not pick it.
Come on.
I know. Can you take
You can't see it. Well, now it's covered with your hair and your bandage.
Well, they made him shave it. His doctor said, oh, it looks nasty right now.
Oh.
It looks nasty right now, but there's the Grim Reaper right there. And he does do Snapchat filters on it and weird stuff like that, because it's sad. But this is the Grim Reaper right there. And that's where they put it. And they put the carotid artery from here down to here. I mean, not the carotid, I'm sorry. His main artery in that arm, he does not have an active pulse. You know how they check your pulse or do blood pressure.
Yeah.
But they can't do that with Seth on that arm. They have to do it on this arm. So they took that main artery and they ran it from the skin graft down to his carotid to make sure it gets blood flow and it's viable. Yeah, that's been a long process. We're ready to get past that one for sure.
Yeah. Well, and I don't know, and this is one of the things that's just heartbreaking to me because of that. Because I don't know if y'all realize, like for Seth, our brains regulate our brain fluid, and when we stand up, when our blood pressure rises, our brains, those of us that have, we still have everything. It changes the amount of pressure that's there. It just does it automatically. We don't tell it to do that. Whereas Seth's, because he doesn't have that portion of his brain can't do that. And so it doesn't know to release.
Yeah.
So when he was doing that heavy lifting and all of that stuff, his brain fluid wasn't adjusting, and it ended up causing his skull cap to shift. And that's caused some major complications. And so right now the heavy lifting is on hold for a while.
It's on hold, period. They said he will never again power lift. He has just got to start going back to the gym and lifting. He's supposed to be lifting light weights. And the powerlifting.
Called you out.
Yeah, you got to see me when we're at the gym. It's not cute. I'm like, I'm gonna punch you, boy. But yeah, that's me. Really, I'm like, put the right on it. I shoot fire with my eyes. But anyway, that's the story behind the Grim Reaper on his head. That's how it got there. I like to think it's like the gladiators in the arena. They would defeat the enemy and then they'd take them by the hair of the head and hold up the head. They cut the head off. And I always say that's, Seth champion, because there's Grim Reaper. Remember, he died twice at the scene. Oh yeah, go ahead. Anyway, so so all of his tattoos, the story and everything, there's links, but we have little short video clips of each tattoo that we told the story behind on his TikTok as well. So y'all go follow him on TikTok. We're trying to get him to the 300,000 mark.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna go ahead and pause this there. Don't forget, share if you haven't already done so. That's how you're gonna get your attendance and in-class assignment points today, is to share, because this video will go to them and they'll be able to see your comments. And don't forget your guest speaker reflection. So you need to go to Moodle, and on Moodle you will see the worksheet with the instructions of how to do your guest speaker reflection. Okay. There's even a little tutorial that tells you how to do that. So make sure that you get that done. That is due. So today's Wednesday. It's due tomorrow evening, I think is when it's due. So make sure that you get that done. And these are, I love having Kimber and Seth come. They are like my standard. It's just, actually, whenever I went to send them the Zoom link, it was already in the text message. Like I just sent it to them because they come every time, and we're so blessed to have them come and share with us. And like I said before, they have touched my lives in more ways than one. And, you know, we all have hardships, and, you know, we have all, especially this year, so many of us have just horrible things that have happened to us. And it's just, you know, life is just crazy, and you just never know when something is going to change your life. And the
Yes.
fact that Seth is still smiling, the fact that Seth has
Yeah.
never been angry about this, the fact that
Yeah.
Seth continues to change people's lives, and to continue to use this horrible thing that happened to him for purpose.
Mhm.
And Seth, I'm gonna let you finish it. So what do you always say?
Oh God.
Always.
Oh God.
Oh God, he's
Boom, boom.
He's pointing up every video, every picture you see, even before he lifts at the events when he used to lift, he would he would
That's
point
it.
up, he'd
Oh,
close his
God.
eyes, take a deep breath, point up, and he'd say, "Oh God." And even when he would receive a medal or something, he would be going, "Oh God, oh God, all glory to God."
Yeah.
So that's his attitude. It's the real
Sure.
deal, guys. If y'all ever see him, you know, it's weird. Lacey, I will have to tell you this real quick because it is crazy. We went to Florida.
I know, I was jealous. I was stuck.
Yes,
Go
girl.
ahead, calm down. Calm down.
But the crazy
Some of us
thing,
have to work, Seth.
the crazy thing that happened is we stopped in Mobile and a lady was behind us. We were filming Seth, videoing him, you know, ordering food to put on TikTok. And this girl behind us, I turned around, I said, "I'm so sorry we're taking so long." And she's like, "No, oh my God, it's really him. It's really him. I follow him on TikTok. I just watched it out in the parking lot while I was waiting." I was like, "What?" And we go,
Celebrity.
is that crazy? Mobile. Then we go from there, Lacey, to Miramar Beach, and we walk into a restaurant to eat breakfast. There's two people. The waiter comes to the table. I'm like, "We're going to be videoing you. You're not in trouble." We do this for his awareness for praxia and aphasia and brain injury. And he said, "I already know who y'all are. My manager and that other girl over there follow y'all. They're peeping out the back of the restaurant right now." Went to a different restaurant the next day, and a guy from Atlanta, a girl from Tennessee walked up to him. They were hollering, "Seth, it's really you. We follow you on TikTok." It is weird.
Yeah.
It's so weird. So anyway, it's cool, but
Oh,
you know.
Seth. I bet you're still humble, aren't you?
Yeah. No,
Extremely humble. Yeah.
Oh yes, yeah, he very much is.
Yeah.
Except for like letting, you know, the pics pop out right there.
Boom,
Yeah.
boom, boom.
Yeah.
So thank you so much, guys. Again, don't forget to complete your guest speaker reflection and then just share some encouraging words or thank you for Seth and Kimber for coming. And
Yes.
then we are out Friday and Monday. So have an amazing holiday break weekend. And then we will be back on Wednesday for the second half of chapter 5. So if you're logging in, make sure that you log in. And if not, then I'll have it posted about midday, like I normally do. So, but y'all have a great, safe weekend. And if you want to chat for just a few minutes, Kimber's got somewhere to be and I've got class right after. So if you want to chat for just a few minutes, back, but it'll just be just a few minutes. So, all right. Thank you guys. Y'all have a very great weekend.
So if they want to ask a
Great
question, they
point,
just stay
y'all.
on right now, right?
Yeah, they can do that. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So is there anyone that has a question?
Let's see how many of them pop out. Some of them, like they normally do, they just hang back to see if somebody else has a question.
Yeah.
Y'all don't be scared.
I see you smiling at me because I know you're one of them that just kind of hangs back and waits for somebody else to ask the question. You do that every time. I know you.
Is that Abby doing that?
She does the same thing during advising.
Hey, Abby, I see your hand in the
the
top of your head.
I have a question
if
about
y'all
your
have a
tattoos.
question, ask away. Hey,
Angel has a question.
hi,
Yes.
Angel.
So, when did you get your tattoos? Did you were you still having paralysis symptoms, or did you feel all your tattoos?
Okay. Okay. Full tattoo. This numb. All numb. Left. Tattoo. Yeah. So
He was still
Yeah.
paralyzed on
Yeah.
that arm when he got that. He got it 1 year to the date of the accident. He got that first tattoo. And so his arm and stuff was still numb.
Yeah.
So that one didn't hurt until he started getting close to the
This-
bottom and it was
this
waking up
is-
more.
Oh man.
Yeah, those by that time, and this side wasn't paralyzed. So this hurt, this right there.
Yeah.
Dude, don't put your pits on my head.
Hey, calm down.
You calm
Okay.
down.
Okay.
And okay, so yeah. So
Yeah.
it took him a year to get all of them. This one he got
Plus, yeah,
past a
this,
year because
yeah.
it was these two. It has a scripture on this side that says, "Oh, death, where's your sting? Oh, grave, where's your victory?" That goes with that tattoo. So he got those when he got back home from competing at the USA Games in 2018. But everything else took a whole year, and everything on there is about him going through
God.
what he went through, walking through the valley of the shadow of death. The Psalms is on the back, God watching over him, 2 wings on the back of his arms because he died twice. And then his scripture, he preached this the night before, Romans 8:28. He told them this is his saying every morning. He would say, "It's all good. It's all good. All things work together for the good of those who love the Lord and are called according to his purpose." And there it is. That's the one he wanted at 16. When we got his phone back, he didn't have ID on him. The phone, that was the screensaver. That tattoo right there that he wanted. So of course, that was the second one he got when he got out, you know.
Anybody else have anything else to ask really quick? Got anything else? Anybody got anything else?
Don't be scared, people.
Yeah. I know. Well, and I think sometimes, like most of them, they just kind of hang back to see if somebody else has something
Mhm,
to add.
mhm.
But you know, those of y'all that are still here, I mean, again, Seth loves to answer questions. And the fact, I'm so impressed with you. Like, that was a really, like, you were able to answer that question. It's getting better, man.
Thank
It's
you.
coming. Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Oh.
I mean,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, and that's something, I mean, we just didn't really have time to cover it, but I still do. I mean, well, I guess it was actually the conversation you asking me if you should shave your head. I remember you asking me that. Should I
Right
shave
before
my head?
he shaved it, he didn't care what you said. He was just
Yeah.
seeing if somebody agreed with him. But
Yeah. Well, yeah. And to now see you know, it's coming. It's coming.
Yeah.
So, all right. I've got to go down to I'm gonna